It just doesn't get more OP than that. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my ability guide and overview for Thoth, the brand new god in Smite. Of course, my name is RAYNz, and this is RAYNz Gaming. Thank you for all of you who are subscribers, and for new watchers, thanks so much for checking out the channel, checking out the video. I'm sure you're excited to see all about Thoth, know how to build him, know what his abilities do, and we're going to get into that very quickly. Now, these guides tend to be a bit more in-depth, so if you do enjoy that, you'll, I think, find a big home here for when these guides release. But if you want a little bit more of the particular information quickly, I'm also going to try to just hit the big points first and extrapolate a little bit more later on, or only really hit the necessary components so you don't feel like you're just watching, you know, an encyclopedia of information. I'll try to find that really nice blend so that you feel like you learned a lot, but you also had fun. You got to see the new guy's abilities relatively quickly. And with that said, let's move into his passive. Now, this is Thoth. Obviously, everyone's been so excited about Thoth coming into Smite for so long that it actually is so exciting to see him finally be released. At least in my opinion, I played Smite since beta, and it's great to, you know, have the item finally have the man who's in charge of the book. And he's got his book there, and look at this Michael Jackson moonwalk he's doing. It's like Smooth Criminal's playing on in the background. Smooth Criminal, dun, 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 dun. And the first one, this is like total pimp walk right here. So the man is really ready to play, and I want to get you all about his abilities. He's a mage. He is from the Egyptian pantheon, I believe, right? He's from the Egyptian pantheon. Ain't he? I'm pretty sure that he is. If he's not, somebody, I'm silly, but I'm doing this quickly, and I don't really care about fact checking that. But I'm pretty sure he is. He is the man with the plan. He's got this book. Let's talk about what this book does. Pretty much with his passive, the idea with his passive Dead Reckoning is that as Thoth actually gains in power, he writes more names in his book, and those names in his book grant him extra penetration possibilities. Now, those penetration book tablets are represented here, and for each kind of page that he secures in his book, he gains an extra 4 penetration, up to 5, which would mean up to 20 extra penetration that he's able to unlock. And those 5 stacks become unlockable at level 17. So every 4 levels, up to level 17, you'll basically be able to gain an extra 4 penetration that you wouldn't from other items, which is really a great advantage as a mage, because you want that penetration so your abilities hit that much harder. The way you gain the stacks is obviously by killing champions, killing minions, killing jungle camps, all those things, and you have to kill actually 30 of those in total to gain the stacks. So if you're just clearing a minion wave, it would take you a few times. You'd basically be able to get that stack, and then you'd wait 4 more levels so you're able to get your next stack. So that's going to be one of the components of him really stacking. And of course, we'll talk about his build in a moment. You can see it down in the left-hand corner. I'll explain why those items are there for me. Actually, one should not really be there. I was experimenting with this. I don't think I would actually have that there. Pretty sure I'd throw that in there. But I will say that there's some interesting dynamics with that. So moving on into his number 1. His number 1 is called Hieroglyphic Assault. And his 1 and his 2 are really cool together, but they combo with his 3 more so than anything else. And so it's kind of good to talk about them as a package deal. His number 1, Hieroglyphic Assault, basically Thoth rises into the air, ignoring the basic attack movement penalty, and conjures 3 hieroglyphs. His next 3 basic attacks pass through enemies and apply ability damage instead. So these are not basic attacks. They don't apply, you know, basic attack on hit effects like Polynomicon, right? That wouldn't be applied through his number 1. However, if these attacks pass through the Glyph of Pain, their range is increased by 30. We'll get to the Glyph of Pain in a second, but as you can see, there's a way for him to increase his range if they pass through his 3. Now, just as a number 1, you're going to be basic attacking here. And then you activate your 1. You'll go in here and your basic attacks will look like this. You'll get 3 orbs. And the way this was described on the patch notes show by our designers was basically, this is like Medusa, right? It's basically ability to use 3 stacks of Venom after she activates, I believe it's called Viper Shot. And then also Isis's Spirit Ball. So it's got that wide width, but you can kind of hold it. And it won't go away until those 3 charges. So I can hit 1. Basically, you know, do something else. I could dash, right? Throw my 2 out. Don't want to necessarily spoil that. Throw a 3 out. And then that's still there. So I still got these 2 attacks left. So I really got to get rid of them. I could save it for another fight. And basically, that's going to get there until I use it. So sometimes you may just want to spray and pray and get it out of the way. I feel like I got an extra one there, but maybe I didn't. Anyways, that's the way that number 1 works. The number 2, like you just saw, is a really cool dash. And think of it like a Rama dash. It's essentially an 8-direction dash, which means any way that I'm facing is not related to how I'm moving. I just covered Rama in one of my latest videos, and this is a unique part about him, and now a unique part about Thoth. Being able to face forward, but then move backwards based on the way my WASD hands are, gives you a lot of cool options in seeing the battlefield, being able to attack, being able to, enhance your gameplay and visibility in the battleground. So you're going to be able to dash backwards, face forwards, and then apply this really cool glowing finger pelt, which apparently has a cooldown, so if you got to do it at the right amount of time, onto an enemy. And what that will do, it's called Ponderous Escape. It's called Evade and Punish. What that will do is apply damage, which is quite a lot, as you can see. 230 damage plus 393 at this point. I've got 656 magical power right now, and that's going to mean that I'm taking about, I believe it's 60% scaling. So I'm going to get 60% of my magical power. That's 656. I'm taking 60% of that number and adding it on top of this ability, which is not great, but considering that he can get to a very high level of damage, it's going to hurt quite a bit. And that will also slow as well. So I'll get a 2.5 second slow into my target and a lot of damage. So let's try it out onto a Ra. You can see exactly what that will look like. Here's the Ra. He's going to start attacking me. I don't want to get blinded. Save you guys the trouble. Dash to the right. Throw it on the Ra. I've got the slow and about 583 damage, and now I'm attacking him. Oh, that Polynomicon proc hurts. Nice. So that's how his 2 works. Hopefully that's pretty clear, and it's a pretty cool move. It feels really good, right? It feels very fast. He does it very quickly. I love the animation on it, and it's a really good ability from what I've seen. His number 3 is called Glyph of Pain, and this is where I wanted to tell you that everything combos with this, because this is what allows him to have his range and have his effectiveness increase in terms of a battle, because he can stay out of the fight a lot easier. And since he's got no direct CC, so crowd control immunity in his kit inherently, he's going to have to stay at range. He's going to really have to look at, how do I do what I need to do in a fight, but not get caught out in a bad situation, because I've got no way to immune that. That is where this 3 is going to help him, because it's going to allow him to really do a lot of damage at range. It's basically, from his book, he throws down a hieroglyph in front of him, and projectiles that pass through that glyph are now increased in damage and increased in range. Also, this applies to his 1 and his 2 and his normal basic attacks. However, his normal basic attacks do not increase in range. They just increase in damage. So let's go ahead and do that. That was a lot of information. I throw this down, and all of a sudden, this 1 has an increased range. So now I can hit the Odin and stay at a much safer distance than I normally would, versus if I just have my 1 up here. So in a fight, you throw this down. I'm out of the fight. I don't want to get too close. I don't want to get caught up in the cage, right? You can throw that 3 down, and now you're already fighting him, and you're not in the cage range, which is beautiful. Same thing with the 2. Obviously, you have to dash first, but I can extend the range of my dash through the 3 as well. So say I need to get away and Odin's really close to me. I want to dash here. That's the distance it would take me. But if I go here, I'm all the way there, baby. I'm sliding, man. I take you back to Jet Set Radio Future. I'm grinding so far with that movement ability. So it's really cool, and allows him to have a lot more options and to be able to use it defensively. One of the things that I think people don't know yet is that you can actually use it sideways. So if you're standing here, you still get the range increase, right? I can go there, but if I deploy it and kind of stand, so here's that. If I stand in it, I'll still get that bonus, right? So you can stand in it and shoot sideways. Now, obviously, we mentioned you get the damage bonus as well. So we throw the 3 down. It's going to do what? 269, 280, 280. I'm going to throw that 3 down. And wait a second for the Q. I'll throw it down one more time. You notice that's very slow. 269, 280, 280. I'm still doing 121, but there's that extra damage that's happening on top of that. Now, you may not see it, but let's throw it down so you guys can see it. When I do this normally, 269. When I see this, there's 2 numbers to pop up. 269 plus 116. 269 plus 120. So I'm gaining that extra damage based off of that. The same thing's going to apply for his 2. You're going to get an increased dash, but if you throw this thing through it, it'll have increased range, and it will do increased damage. That 116 added on top of that 601. It's going to be very, very powerful, right? Obviously, that mobility itself is great, but being able to do that through the 2 and then slow enemies as they're chasing you, it's beautiful. So the 3, you notice, has an extremely low cooldown. What's the reason for that? Actually, the 3 at this point can be deployed anywhere I want, and that is why, without that crowd control situation, they designed it so that it would actually come up before this other one went on cooldown. So you could basically, every few seconds, always make this available in a different direction. Say the fight shifts and you need this support to be able to dash farther, to be able to do this, you're going to have that 3 up. However, obviously your 2 will always be on that longer cooldown. So even if I throw up my 3 up, you know, 2 different times, my dash is still on cooldown. It's just going to allow me to say, okay, I got 1 dash, I really need to make it count. Let's make that so that I get the right angle. Oh crap, I didn't need that angle, I need this angle. Well, it's back up and I can be a little safer and make that clutch decision a lot easier. Now, without further ado, let's get into the ultimate. That's what a lot of you want to see. And of course, yes, this will be affected by the 3 as well. It is called Final Judgment. And what the boy does is this. He begins summoning pages from his book, and he actually up to a maximum of 4. Now, that ultimate is a channel. He has no CC immunity, which means he can be stunned out of it. And he does damage based on how many pages he channels. So, if you do this, you're going to do full damage, and that is the ult. Look at the distance that traveled. It's pretty large. We're going to head over to this green thing and get that reset. But if I shoot it here, still go the same distance, but it will do much less damage. So let's test it out with the Odin. Like I said, there are 3 damage tiers. It's just the basic pop it. 385. Pretty decent amount of damage for, I don't know. In my opinion, that's pretty dang strong. You already have, so that was just a triangle. Now let's wait till we have 1 bolt. 771. Okay, wow, I never tested this. You guys are seeing this with me. That's insane. That's a lot of damage. All right, let's try it with 2. 1156. Holy moly, we're only halfway, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try this with 3. Oh my gosh. 1541. Scylla, watch out. Watch out. And this will pass through everybody, by the way. Finally, fully charged with this build. Still 1541. That's unimpressive. I wanted more. But remember, he's still got stacks to build, right? I'm at 15 stacks in my Book of Thoth. I've also not even at my full stacks in terms of my passive here. So I'm going to gain an extra 8 penetration. And if I have things going on like, oh, okay, Spear of the Magus, right? Let's stack Spear of the Magus. That's 1601. We have that full clip damage. So an insane amount of damage coming from that. And of course, you will be able to lengthen the distance of that to be, I don't know. It's going to shoot so far, it's going to land in the Zelda game, right? I mean, this thing is so freaking far when you just look at it. I mean, I'm impacting. I'm like almost shooting raw right from here, which is nuts. But that's the beauty about Thoth in this kit. He combines so well with this 3. The reason it's on such a low cooldown, you have so many opportunities to adjust it for the perfect situation to really time that out. And the cool thing about his ultimate as well that a lot of people don't know is that, like I mentioned, you can cancel out of it. So things are going wrong, boom, cooldown is still there. I cancel out of it because, of course, I'm channeling it. I'm not immune, but I can still move, which is good. I'm not stationary. I can cancel out of it if I feel it's not right. You know what? That's not going to do the job. Let me get over here. Let me dash. Oops, dash the wrong way. Get the slow, right? Let's move. Yeah. This is the shot I want. Wait, no, not quite. Let me throw this down. Ooh, yeah, this is the one. This is going to get him. And team wipe. Right, pin skill. Okay, that's how it works. So that is essentially how it works. Now let's move on to the build. I know we've been talking for quite a bit. I want to keep this entertaining, keep rolling. Let's move on to the build and what I'm thinking in regards to this. So for me, I think Thoth really is going to excel at being able to have these abilities up, have his 3 up, and feel like he's got this decision to be made all the time. I feel like he's got these escape options as much as possible. He's got that range up as much as possible so he can stay safe and he can, you know, keep himself always basically in the right spot at the right time. I think this 3 plays huge into his kit. And so therefore I like going with the cooldown boots. I like having the ultimate up a little more. I like having the 2 and the 1 up a little more because as you can tell, his damage is really nice right now. The other reason is that instead of going the pin boots, he has maybe a little bit of an advantage going over a lot of other champions because they're doing this for the pin. He could still get that early pin. Level, you know, I believe level 1, he can get 4 pin. And then level 4, he'll have 8. So by the time you get level 5, right? And I'm not even sure if you're necessarily going to have full boots. You might. He's going to have near the amount of penetration that this full pin would provide him, which is, you know, basically 8 versus 10, unless it works differently and he can't get his, other 4 pin until level 4. So he would have 4, but still, you see what I'm saying? Like, he's basically able to offset that with his passive. So these pin boots, I think, are going to mean a little less. But again, if you want to go full damage, they're going to mean a little more as well. I just prefer, since I have the pin kind of handled with his passive, I'll go with a little bit more cooldown. That'll help me have that utility that I need to survive. Again, that's why I think I also like Chronos Pendant. But because of the way I bought these items, it doesn't show up this way. I would grab probably my Book of Thoth stacking item second. Because obviously if you're stacking in games, a lot of the times you want to make sure that you're stacking and building that up earlier than later. So you have more of an advantage throughout the game because you've had those full stacks for as much as possible. If you get to full stacks late game in 5 minutes left, you haven't maximized that item and you haven't gotten as much value as you probably could have. And of course, it's Book of Thoth. You can't have Book of Thoth. We can't not have Book of Thoth while you're playing Thoth. I mean, you just can't do it. And by the way, they said he was pronounced Thoth or Thoth. I'm calling this brother Thoth. There's no way you're getting me to call him Thoth. And I'm definitely not saying Thoth because that just sounds weird. He will forever be known as Thoth to me. So I know I'm going to get some comments about this, but I'm calling him Thoth, people. Don't fight the power on this one. Now we got Spear of the Magus. Now, Spear of the Magus, I think, is a really interesting item, and I want to explain the decision on this. The reason I think it actually has some really cool mechanics with him is because his 3 will actually allow you to activate Spear of the Magus onto an enemy with your basic attacks. So Spear of the Magus normally would not activate here. These are just normal basic attacks, and I'm not gaining extra penetration. If you don't know how Spear of the Magus works, essentially you are gaining penetration every time your abilities hit a target, and that penetration means that then after you get you basically reduce that target's magical protection by 10 every time you hit them with an ability, and if you do that 3 times, right? For 5 seconds, they're basically going to have 30 reduced magical protection. And that's going to make your abilities hit harder. Now, the beauty of this, and the reason this works for some champions and not, is well, it's a little cheaper. It's on the cheaper side. So actually a little bit more expensive than, I believe, Obsidian Shard. Let's see, it's $21.50. So it's a little more expensive there. It's cheap in comparison to this item. But the thing is that some gods have a really hard time applying it. So if you have a god that hits very singular abilities, he has to use all 3 of his abilities to actually apply Book of Thoth, Spear of the Magus stacks. It's probably not worth it. If you have a god like Poseidon, and he can apply Book of Thoth really easily with 1 whirlpool and get full stacks, so that now his Kraken, his number 1, that wave, hits hard, then you're going to get a lot more value out of it. Does that make sense? So with him, his normal basic attacks don't apply it. But look what happens when you throw a 3. Oh, 210. So now I've got the extra stats. And now my abilities with this, I can keep it applied. And for the next 5 seconds, he's got this buff. Now, after 5 seconds wears off, he's going to drop and he's going to go back to 202. But I've decreased his magical protection here. 202, 210. And it seems to have capped there, right? So I've reduced his magical protection. It doesn't seem like he has any more at that point. And now these abilities are going to hit that much harder. Now let's wait when he doesn't have the magical protection. Those are hitting for 281. Now they're hitting for 270, right? So you're able to apply and very consistently apply that damage because also your 3 is up very quickly and very often. So you can always change targets. You can apply it with basic attacks to a lot of different targets without wasting abilities. And that also helps your team. So this magical protection debuff happens to Odin. Doesn't happen to me. So Odin is now 30 protections lost in terms of the magical side of things against any magical character on your team, which means that you got a Poseidon, you got a Scylla. They're gonna hit harder just because you landed a couple basic attacks on Odin, right? And you're getting that extra damage on top of it. It's a really nice combo. The other reason I like it, and especially with the next item, Polynomicon, in this build, is because you gain by activating this. This is activating an ability. So your next shot will do Polynomicon damage, and Polynomicon means pretty much it's just you get 75% of your total magical power added on to your next basic attack. So 75% of this will be on my next basic attack for a few seconds after I activate an ability. Boom, 497. And guess what? Polynomicon, there's a period of time where Polynomicon will not work again. But guess what? That time is basically going to be almost mirrored with the amount of time I have to throw my shield. So boom, Polynomicon. Now I can apply another ability. Boom, Polynomicon, right? So I can pretty much keep Polynomicon running so frequently onto somebody that I'm consistently getting a lot of damage onto this. Whether this is even just clearing, right? This might even make a reason to go to Polynomicon early because you're going to get these huge clears from it, you're going to get a lot more value out of this item because it's so easy and pretty mana efficient, especially when he builds Book of Thoth early, to be able to deploy this 3 and get this Polynomicon, huge basic attack proc, and add the Spear of the Magus penetration stacks. So that's kind of the logic behind that for me. And of course, he'll be doing more damage as this Book of Thoth is fully stacked to 75. The last one is just Rod of Tahuti, and this is pretty simple. It's just the best item in terms of raising your total magical power. They're not going to be able to get more total magical power through any other item except for Rod of Tahuti, because it increases all the other magical power I have from each of these items by 25%. So all these items get a 25% buff when this is deployed for me, and that is pretty much just why I pick it. Just help me to do that much more damage. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I'm going to keep it simple, going to keep it quick. Obviously, Thoth is new. I can't wait to show some gameplay. Can't wait to do a couple of cool things with him, and maybe put out a more opinion piece of why I'm really excited about this god in general being released, why I think this is a really fresh feel for Smite, and I think people are really excited about this after maybe some more disappointing Smite god releases from the previous 2, where a lot of people kind of said, I'm underwhelmed. This one I think is really getting people excited. It's got me excited. Thoth is in the game, ladies and gentlemen, and he's happy about it. Yo. I'm just thinking of the Joust teams. Ra, Thoth, and Rama. GG, baby. GG. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I love you, and as always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see y'all next time.